With so much bickering going on with the superstars of the sport, it's always a breath of fresh air to see all the silent warriors from the depths of boxing simply get down to business. Welcome to the second episode of Under the Radar, where I discuss everything and anything going on in the boxing's underground. Please make sure to subscribe for a lot more unbiased boxing content to come. Now let's begin. Filipino veteran and technical mastermind Donnie Nietes is slated to make his in-ring return after almost 2 years and a half since his last fight. In fact, his last fight was a victory over a Japanese legend in Kazuto Yoka in a hotly contested fight where Nietes was able to squeeze out a split decision win to earn himself a vacant WBO super flyweight belt. His return is slated for April 3rd in Dubai and will be his first fight under a new promotional banner in MTK Promotions. This is due to Philippine-based Ala Promotions having collapsed last year due to the COVID pandemic. By the way, Albert Bagara will also be following the Filipino veteran's lead and be debuting with MTK as well on the same card. Now, although I am personally excited to see what Nietes still has left in the tank, I am a bit concerned because he will be turning 39 years old later on in the year, potentially smearing his chances at jumping back into the mix with the best names the division has got to offer. I would love to see Nietes finally get mixed and matched with the likes of Rung Visay, even a Nioka rematch, Kosei Tanaka, Carlos Cuadras, Estrada, Gonzalez, and of course Arcanjas, but we have yet to see how much rust has built up on those aging bones. Remaining with the Filipino theme for the next news bit, apparently the WBC has ordered a rematch for their interim bantamweight title between the former IBF belt holder and Manny Rodriguez from Puerto Rico and rising Filipino talent and Reymart Gaballo. Although Reymart was able to take home what many consider as a shaky decision win last December when he beat Rodriguez in a relatively tame fight, the WBC will be honoring Manuel's team's formal appeal and granting him a rematch with the 30-day window to negotiate terms in order to avoid a purse bid hearing. In the fight results, Gaballo took home the decision with the following scorecards of 116 to 112 and 115 to 113, which in turn overruled the single card going in favor of Rodriguez with the score of 118 to 110. Personally, I saw Rodriguez winning because of his ability to control the pace of the fight, his accuracy, and ability to hinder Gaballo's offensive prowess throughout the 12 rounds. However, I think both fighters could have done a lot more to have established and exerted themselves throughout the fight. I think now that both fighters know each other and understand what's on the line, we will definitely see a different fight. I highly doubt Emmanuel will want to leave it to the judges yet again and will press more offensively, giving Gaballo the openings he didn't have in the first bout to drag the Puerto Rican fighter into a brawl. Whatever the outcome of the fight, I can't wait to see both of them back in the ring to settle their score. Now we'll be dropping all the way down to the light flyweight division after Nicaragua's very own Felix Alvarado was able to not only successfully defend but put on a spectacular show in his fight against DJ Creole by stopping him in the 10th round. There are now talks about the twin potentially jumping up in weight to the flyweight division in an attempt to capture gold there as well. However, before making that jump, he is definitely showing interest in a potential clash with Mexico's Elwin La Pulga Soto in a potential unification fight. Although the battle-proven veteran is interested in making history, at 31, he definitely doesn't have time on his side. I would definitely fancy a fight between himself and Soto or an all-out brawl if he is to make the move up and potentially face off against Julio Cesar Martinez at flyweight. Now, although I did speak on and even made an entirely dedicated video to Fulton's impressive victory over Angelo Leo, there's definitely a lot of other movement going on at 122, also known as the super bantamweight division. On that very undercard, we saw a dazzling performance from Raiz the Beast Alim as he utterly destroyed a highly regarded Victor Pasillas in 11 rounds. Although the Muskegon, Michigan native is excited over his win and showing, he is definitely focused on not stalling his career a single bit and is attempting to jump straight into the biggest fights available for him in the division, seeing as how yet again, for another fighter who's 31, age isn't on his side. In an article over at Boxing Scene, link in the description box below, Alim stated the following: I need to get back soon, and I want all the smoke with everybody, whether it's MJ, Luis Neri, Stephen Fulton, or Brandon Figueroa. I want one of them next. I think that Brandon Figueroa makes the most sense because he's with the PBC and he's standing in my way. That would be an exciting fight that I know the fans would want to see, not to mention Showtime would love to televise that fight. I want to fight the best and I feel I have earned my shot. Now it's up to the champions to face me. All boxing fans know I am a deserving challenger. Let's give the fans what they want, and that's action-packed fights. which is exactly what I bring, end quote. And after reading what he had to say, I just want to say that I completely agree with everything he stated. I'm excited to see him jump back in the ring in the near future, and hopefully it is for a world title. Although Aleem is starving for a world championship, another already crowned fighter in Julio Cesar Martinez had apparently missed out of Canelo vs. Calum's undercard due to a non-COVID related illness, and that turned out to be stomach ulcers because of improper dieting. Fortunately for the Mexico City native, he was able to remedy the problem by hiring a nutritionist in order to be better informed, prepared, and hopefully do away with any more nutritional problems in the future. Although he is due to face off against a gritty Puerto Rican puncher in McWilliams Arroyo at the end of the month, he is already focused and poised on two other goals. First, he wants to unify his division, and once that accomplishment is met, then he wants to jump up to the boiling hot super flyweight division to land the bigger, more career-defining fights that are available at the higher weight. Either way, it is definitely exciting to know that Martinez is serious about his career and is looking to continue to give us great fights and memorable nights as boxing fanatics. Lastly, Gary Russel Jr. brings forth to light an apparent proposal to have fought Josh Warrington in a unification, but he deemed that offer as unacceptable because it wasn't up to his standards. Eddie Hearn was offering him $1 million to fight Josh on his home turf, but Mr. Russell Jr. didn't budge and was unflattered by the proposed monetary gains. Moving on, apparently, although vague about his potential next opponent, things do seem to continue indicating that it's most likely Rey Vargas, a fight in which I touched on in the first UTR or Under the Radar episode. One other thing that made me slightly optimistic about the latest news on Gary Russell Jr. is the fact that he mentioned his intent to fight one more time after his next title defense this year, finally breaking his customary one fight a year tradition he's been having for the last 5 or 6 years. Although the names of interest for him are north of 126 and could be found between 130 and 135, I think he's finally realizing that one fight per year at featherweight won't prepare him for those fights, nor garner him enough attention to get him the bigger paydays. With that said, this concludes episode 2 of Under the Radar. I know there was a ton of different scenarios discussed about on this episode, so feel free to leave a comment about any of the segments. Do y'all think Gary Russell Jr. is ready for the bigger fish at 130 or 135? Is Reymart Gaballo a potential Filipino star? Will Rodriguez be able to beat him soundly in the rematch? What about Felix Alvarado? Would he be able to overcome a solid champion in Elvin Soto? Will Julio Cesar Martinez be able to unify at 112, or is he better off chasing the headlining names at Superfly? Lastly, does the beast Aleem possess the tools needed in order for him to become a world champ, especially since he's fighting in such a stacked division? Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for tuning in, and like always, make sure to subscribe to the most unbiased boxing channel on this site. Once again, thank you all for listening, and like always, this is Shay at King Me Boxing signing out.